less than 30 minutes. That'll probably be a record for me, I would imagine. And then we'll go from that point, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the nuances of how you actually utilize the compensation plan. We have a new plan called Velocity, and it is specifically focused on something that we call driving lines. And so I will spend some time after we do the business briefing walking through how do we do that. How do we drive these lines, and what does it mean to do that? What does it mean in terms of the kind of income that's possible if you understand that concept and exactly how to do it? So let me start off with a little bit of my story. I was working in real estate in a small brokerage. It was 1989. This is 30 years ago, okay? And it was about the 1st of June, and I remember coming home late one night from my real estate office, and I was just tired. I just wanted to shut the day off, have dinner, relax with the kids and my wife, and, relax, go to bed. And sure enough, as soon as I get in the door, the telephone rings, and it's my brother-in-law who's on the other end of the phone. And he starts to tell me all about NuSkin. And he's going on and on and on. I'm just listening for a few minutes, and finally I just wanted to end it. So I said, Craig, thank you for the phone call. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I am not going to do NuSkin. Like that. The phone just goes quiet. And he comes back strong. And he says, what is your problem? And I thought, great, I think I'll tell him. And I said, let me tell you my problem. My problem is I'm a really competitive person. And I said, you've already been doing NuSkin for about 4 years. You're already making $30,000 a month or more. I said, you're so far ahead of me that even if I start today, all I'm going to do is just push you higher. I'll never catch up to you. And that'll drive me crazy the rest of my life. And that's my problem. And the phone's quiet again. And then he comes back and he says, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. He said, why should you care about the money I'm already making? He said, I didn't see you here doing NuSkin with me the last 4 years. He said, you chose real estate. I chose NuSkin. Maybe you made the wrong choice. And then he said, listen close. He said, I'm going to move forward in this company with or without you. And he said, I will make $100,000 a month whether you do this or not. Now, for a competitive person like me, that's like a dagger to the heart, And this thought flashes through your mind, if he actually makes $100,000 a month, and I'm stuck here doing this real estate thing, I'll probably jump off a bridge. That's probably what will happen. And so for the first time, I started listening. And he said, let me tell you your real problem. I'm all ears, okay, tell me my real problem. He said, the real problem is you're in the wrong vehicle. And he wasn't talking about my car. He was talking about my financial vehicle, the way that I made my money, my real estate business. And he said, it's like you're pedaling a bicycle. And you're pedaling. And he said, it doesn't matter how fast you pedal your bicycle, you will never catch me in my Ferrari. And I thought, that's an interesting analogy, but that analogy stuck in my brain. And I literally thought about that for the next week. And every day I would go to my real estate office. In the morning, I'd sit at the desk, begin the day, and I'd sit there and ask myself, so why is this a bicycle? What's wrong with this thing? And over the course of a week, I started to think about the advantages that he had with his network marketing vehicle and some of the disadvantages that I had with real estate alone. And I started to realize how he could scale his business. I had a hard time scaling my business. I had to find other agents to work underneath our brokerage, and most of our business was within probably 10 square miles. It was really hard to expand beyond that. Had to open new offices and get new licenses and get new brokers. And his business, he could just start to sponsor. He could just start to recruit. He could go wherever. And it was really different, and I started to see that. And so, long story short is that I spent about 2 weeks digging into NuSkin. I really was intrigued. I wanted to know if it would really work. And one of the reasons I really wanted to dig in is because this would be my third network marketing company that I was doing. I've been in 2 other companies prior to NuSkin, and both of them ended with the companies filing bankruptcy. It was a bad experience. It was a good experience to try to learn the business a little bit, but it was a really negative experience in the end. And the big problem was that this same brother-in-law was my sponsor in both of those. So I had a little trepidation about doing this one more time. And so that's why I wanted to really do my homework. And I remember on a Saturday morning at the end of those 2 weeks, I got on an airplane and I flew to Los Angeles. And I went to a NuSkin training, kind of like this one, probably about the same size of room. And I sat on the back row against the wall. I didn't really want to interact with anybody. I was just there to kind of listen and try to make my decision that day. And I remember listening to maybe, 6, 7 speakers in the morning, 20, 30, 15 minutes each, whatever it was. And I got to noon. And at noon, I was done. At noon, I was like, okay, if those people can actually do this and be successful, I think I can do it. And that's the power of a meeting. That's the power of an event. And we often say leaders are born at events. And that's because you can hear these different people and you can start to think about you being like them, or if you have things in common, and if they can do it, you can do it. And so the whole second half of that meeting, all I did was write down names. I got names pouring in my head, and I'm putting them on paper. I probably wrote 300 names before the thing was over, and I went back to the airport, got on the airplane, and went home. And my wife is amazing. And I got home, and she goes, well, what do you think? You have a decision? What do you think about this? And I said, well, I think we should do it. And she said, really? I said, yeah, really. She goes, okay. She knows what this is going to take. And so I said, what do you think? She said, well, if you really feel strongly about it, then let's do it, She said, I'll take care of the home front. You go out and slay the dragons, and I'll slay them every time I can. I'll help you every way I can. But at the time, we had 3 little girls under the age of 5. And we had $30,000 in savings. And our expenses were about $5,000 a month. So we had 6 months of money in the bank. And I'm not very good at doing 2 things at once. A lot of guys are just kind of single-minded, and I'm like that. And I just had to focus on this. I couldn't even think about real estate anymore. And so I just got really focused. And I said, honey, I'm going to just stop real estate. I'm going to go for this. And I just remember how much energy was building up inside of me. That whole night, I didn't even sleep, All day Sunday, the next day, I'm just sitting here, and I can just feel my body revving up. My brain is like getting ready to attack this thing. I'm going to explode out of the blocks on Monday morning, and I'm going to go figure out how to make this thing happen in a really substantial way. Nobody else is going to pay my mortgage. Nobody else is going to feed my kids. This is my job. So I've got to go make it happen. No prisoners, Just get laser focused and make it happen. And I remember the first month when the bonus check came in, and at the time I had another brother-in-law, and we partnered because we were both doing the real estate business together. So we partnered. And I remember we worked like crazy, during that whole part of that month. It was about 17 days left in that month, I think, when we signed up. And the bonus check came for that month, and it was $547. And we split it. And the phone bill was like $2,000 for both of us, And I remember thinking, okay, this better work. I think I understand the compensation plan. And so the next month we went like crazy. We got a letter of intent in the first month. The next month we're trying to qualify as executives. So we go like crazy. And I'm telling you, it is 14, 16 hours a day. It is calling people at midnight, and you can hear them fumbling for their phone next to their bed. We go, this is your wake-up call! What are you sleeping for? And we would just battle people. We had so much fun just screwing with people. You got to make it fun. And so we just ramped this thing up as fast as we could. And the next month, the check came in at $1,100. And we split it. But then we became executives. And the next month was $5,500, and then the next month was $8,300, and the next month was $11,000. And all of a sudden I went, whew, we just made it. We split it, and I had more than $5,000. That was my expenses every month. And after that, I never looked back. It was just full speed ahead. It was like crazy people, as fast as we could go. Literally 40, 50 calls a day, new people, meetings, 2, 3, 4 meetings every day, meetings every night. Fast as we could just pour energy into it and create the energy. And, the rest is kind of history. And he didn't make more than $100,000 a month, my brother-in-law. And of course, that was my first goal that I wrote down when I started the business after that first phone call. And the only reason I wrote it down is because he said he was going to do it, and I'm too competitive. I couldn't let him do it without me doing it. And so, that just became the goal. Just started working and moving ahead and building the business. So quickly, we're going to go through these slides in about 30 seconds each so that you can understand that there's five things that you have to have in a business to make it successful, any business. And it's really important in this business of network marketing. And if you're here today for the first time, and this is kind of like your first exposure to this NuSkin opportunity, I want you to get the vision of it. You've just gone through a really great expo this morning, and the products are what generate the volumes in this company, the usage and consumption of those products, but it's not necessarily the big picture of what this company can offer you. What this company can actually offer you is the ability to transform your whole life, to transform your future, to make a completely different kind of life than you even think is possible. And I'm living proof that that has actually happened. Because I've done it, I've lived it, and I've watched thousands, I've watched tens of thousands of other people do this all over the world. And some people have done it at unbelievably high levels. And some people just do it at a level they're happy with, and it can replace their income, and they can control their life. Whatever your goal is, great, that's your goal. Go pursue it. I think as you start to pursue it and achieve it, you're going to see new mountains, new vistas, new summits that you can go over that you'll say, wow, I can do twice what I'm doing. And once you understand duplication and a system, then you'll understand that you can do twice. You can do 5 times. You can do 10 times what you're doing. I read a quote from a gentleman just last week, and he said, if your goals that you've written down for 2019 are pretty much the same goal as you wrote down in 2018, you need to be embarrassed about that. Because you're really not pushing yourself. You're really not going where you could actually go. And so it's pretty interesting as we start to think about really changing our mindset. Like, what can we really accomplish? What are we really capable of? And some of you that are here today feel like, well, I've tried different things, and maybe I just don't have it as a person. Maybe I'm not the brightest, the sharpest. Maybe I flawed in my perception or my analysis of the businesses I should go in. I've tried businesses and I failed and all that stuff. That's all fine. I want you to wipe that out. Because the past doesn't equal the future. I promise you. You can forget all that, and you can go forward in a business with a financial vehicle that we call NuSkin that can transport you to a totally different place in your life. And I know that for sure. And so you don't know what you personally are capable of until you are finally in the right vehicle. And for me, that's the way it was. I've been in several businesses. I had mild success. I had some failures. I never had really huge success. But when I finally understood this, it was like I locked onto this idea and this concept of freedom and of leverage and this new financial vehicle that we call NuSkin, and I've been on that for 30 years like a dog in a bone. I don't want to give it up, right? It has been phenomenal what it's been able to do for our family. Okay. These are the 5 things you really need to think about. Is your product, your company positioned in front of the biggest demographic trends in the world today? Is your company a partner to you? Do they understand their role, and do you understand your role? What's the partnership that you have with the company? The products have to be visual, emotional, and consumable. If they're not, it's going to be a lot more difficult. And that's what NuSkin focuses on, are products that are unique, that are patented, that create visual changes in the way people look. That impacts people emotionally, and that drives consumption, repeated consumption of the product. You want to sell a product one time that gets consumed every month for the rest of their lives, and you get paid every month. That's what you want. You don't want to sell one big product and that's it. They never buy again, okay? So you want to be in that. You want to have the income potential that will fit at whatever level that you're going to participate at. And NuSkin's done some amazing things. And the last thing you got to consider is just the timing. And this is sometimes the timing in your life, but it's really more the timing of the opportunity. Like, where's the company in its growth? Where is it positioned? What's its future prospects look like? And can you participate in that growth to a meaningful way? All right? So let's talk a little bit about kind of the trends that are happening. People today are looking for side gigs, the side hustle. They're looking for ways to create money besides just their normal job or normal routine. People would like to have 2 and 3 sources of income in many cases. One of the best sets of people that you can recruit are Uber drivers, because they're doing it as a side gig. They're out there making a little bit of money, but they're doing it to supplement what they're making at their regular job, or to create income for themselves. And there's so many people that are doing these kind of side hustles now. Probably 30% of all the workers have something they're doing on the side to make additional money. The internet and social media and smartphones have made this way more doable, very, very possible, right? Another major thing is we have an aging population. And if you start to think about the population of where it is today, the overall global population is aging more. They're getting on average older every year as every year goes by. That's because there's less birth rate than there used to be, and there's better medical technology that's extending human life. And people are starting to realize that if their life could be extended potentially to 10 more years, A, they need to plan for the financial side of that, and B, they better get the health side together. Nobody wants to ride out the last 10 years in a wheelchair or in a bed, right? You want to be active and healthy and functioning and aware and awake, okay? And then you want to have the money to do it. One of the biggest fears people have is they'll outlive their retirement. They'll outlive their finances, and they'll be like in the poorhouse, right? You're going to see more and more people come into this kind of business to stay young, to stay healthy, and to supplement income. And it's going to keep happening in a really significant way. So those trends are in our favor. We've seen massive change in the last 20 years with the advent of the internet, but that change is accelerating. And what you're going to see over the next 5 to 10 years with the rollout of 5G cellular networks and the blanketing of satellites by SpaceX, Elon Musk, and by Facebook, which are planning to launch literally 50,000 satellites in low orbit around this Earth, is going to bring instant connectivity to every human being on the planet. You have no idea what's going to happen. It's going to happen really fast in the next 10 years. It's going to transform the internet and the social media we use, the devices we use. It's going to transform our lives in a very substantial way. And this business is really aligned with that transformation. As the world gets more and more connected, that's what we've always been. We've always been a network. Now the world's a network. And those two things are coming together, and that is in our favor. So anyway, micro-entrepreneurship, all these things, these are things that are happening, and that's what we do. We provide a platform for people where they don't have to take on huge amounts of financial risk, so they can start to build a real business and not just trade their time for money like an Uber driver, okay, or somebody who's going to just sell on Amazon or something else for a little while, okay? We're talking about creating a business that will allow you at some point to step away and still have the substantial income that business is creating every month. At some point, you can detach your personal efforts from the ongoing nature of the business that you created, and you can have any kind of lifestyle you want to have, and you will have the money to enjoy it. That's the advantage of this kind of a business model over most other types of models. And really, the people that are connectors are the ones who make the most money. And there's a lot of you here that you're good at it, There's some people that are just born connectors. They've got big lists in their phone of contacts and names. I used to say big Rolodexes, but you guys don't even know what that is. Okay? Big contact lists. Their friends lists are just huge, thousands of people, and that is somebody who's a connector. They know a lot of people. Okay, let's talk about the company. So this is number 2. NuSkin's our partner. This is a company that allows you and I to participate in approximately 50 countries around the world. So you may think to yourself, well, I don't even know anybody outside of Australia. I don't even know anybody except the U.S. and Australia or New Zealand or something. It doesn't really matter who you personally know or don't know. Okay, I never knew anybody from Japan until NuSkin opened Japan. And I flew to Japan and I would sit in the lobbies of kind of international hotels, and everybody who'd walk in, I'd grab probably every third person and say, excuse me, do you speak English? Excuse me, do you speak English? And some people, no conversation, right? Some people would go, yeah, yes I do. And I would say, do you have a minute to talk about a United States company that's going to expand into Japan? And some people would say, too busy, see you later. And some would say, yes. And some would say, here's my information, here's my card, call me tomorrow. And I sat there with other people on my team, and we recruited people that could understand English that were Japanese. And we recruited a bunch of them who then understood the business. And when Japan opened, we ended up having a massive, massive success over there. My first bonus check from Japan, the first full month after it was open, was more than $250,000 from just Japan for that month. So that's what can happen if you decide, okay, I'm going to get really serious about how this can work. And we did. We worked for a year and a half on that market, teaching, training, recruiting, before that market ever opened. That was a huge investment financially and time-wise, but it's paid off like you can't even imagine. Okay? So, this business can be about as big as you want it to be, even if you don't ever leave your country. And you consistently recruit and build, within 10 years, you'll have people probably in 40 or 50 countries in your business, doing business in their country, their language, their currency, ordering from their warehouses and their markets, and NuSkin tracks the whole thing and you get compensated for it. Okay? And I've seen that happen a lot for, thousands of people. This is a publicly traded company. That means that we're an open book. That means you can look at all of our financial statements, you can look at our plans, you can see how we're doing, how we're not doing. And this company's done some great things. This year, 2018, we're going to get a report shortly. I don't know what the report is. I don't have insider information. But I think you're going to see that the sales will be greater than $2.5 billion for 2018. So we continue to grow the business in a pretty substantial way. And that will continue going forward. What's the future of this company? I've said this many times for many years. This will be a $10 billion company someday. So we're about 25% of the way there. Most of our competitors are in more than 200 countries. NuSkin's in 50 countries. We have the biggest part of our growth still ahead of us in this company. And yet the risk has been wrung out of this business over the 30 years that we've been in operation, the challenges we've had, the way we've overcome them, the way we built the culture, the way we built the staff, the company, the scientists, all the things that they've done are built to be a $10 billion company. And you don't want to just, in 20 years, if we're $10 billion in 20 years, you don't want to be looking back and going, I should have stuck with that. I should have been part of that growth and that company 4 and 5 times itself. And if you'll just be consistent, you can build pretty much anything you want. We're feeding about 150,000 children a day in Africa. We're feeding probably another 20 or 30,000 a day in North Korea, other places around the world with our Nourish the Children program. This is something we feel strongly about. We're right now at about 650 million meals served to kids all over the world since the beginning of this program. We'd like to hit, 1 billion meals and then 5 billion meals and 10 billion meals, and we'd like to eradicate childhood starvation in this world. And we invite you to learn more about this and join us if you feel so inclined. NuSkin's scientific team is robust. We have 3 research centers in the world, one in Shanghai, China, one in Provo, Utah, and one in Madison, Wisconsin. And these center around different technologies. Some we've acquired, some we've developed internally. And NuSkin has about 75 PhD level scientists that work in these facilities on a daily basis. And this company is known for its scientific innovation. We've come up with amazing products and amazing breakthroughs, and we will continue to come up with those kind of breakthroughs to create the future that will make the business expand for you. That'll continue to open new markets and new opportunities through the advancement of a lot of these different technologies. So we've got social products, which you can share very easily on social media. We have business devices, so these are beauty and business devices, okay? These products have won accolades all over the world, literally top honors in almost every category. And then we've got our health products that are proven by the biophotonic scanner that they're actually getting into the tissue of your body. And that's something that no one else in the world can show you. Nobody else can prove to you that their vitamins and their supplements actually do anything in your body. And that is the domain of NuSkin alone. We're the only company in the world that can measure your antioxidants non-invasively in real time in your tissue. And we can give you a score in 30 seconds of where you stand health-wise. And that's a really huge advantage for us. LimaSpa has been a huge hit. We introduced this product about 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago, and it's become the #1 product in its category. We've destroyed competitors like Clarisonic and others that have been out there for a decade or two, and we've passed them in less than 24 months. And this product shows no signs of slowing down. This product is just on an absolute tear. Multiple patents protect this product. Nobody else can make anything just like it. And again, that's one of NuSkin's really powerful pieces, is that when we develop products that have patents, copyrights, intellectual property that nobody else can get their hands on, that means customers have to keep coming back to you to get those products because they can't find them anyplace else. And so that protects our businesses and makes them even better. So there's a whole team of people that are here to help you. You have the entire NuSkin company at your disposal, the scientists, the product specialists, your account managers, and so forth, the corporate leaders, okay? You also have One Team Global, and this is an organization that I founded about 20 years ago. And I recognized the need as NuSkin was spreading around the world and opening all these different markets for there to be a distributor training and support organization that could keep pace with how this company was expanding around the world. And so today, One Team Global exists in virtually every country NuSkin's in. There's people who volunteer their time to organize events, to put together training, to help people understand, help each other. One Team Global, our plank is this honesty and integrity and contribution and helping each other. Whether you're in my team or not, we're here to help everybody build the business because the rising tide lifts all ships, right? And we want the whole business to proceed. And it's about a culture that gets developed. People want to belong to cultures where there's people that are willing and open and able to help, regardless of financial compensation. And that's a pretty unique thing, because most people act in their own financial self-best interest, you know? And we do too, of course. We want to make our own successes and make our own money, but we also want to give back. We want people to feel welcome. We want them to feel like they've got mentorship and support, the likes of which they will never encounter in the corporate environment. You will never find the kind of partnership here that you'll get like you can here in a corporate environment. Okay? So you're not alone. Tons and tons of media in the top publications. Every year we can put up a whole smattering just like this. People talking about our products, what they do, and how they work. Okay? NuSkin's focus is to become the world's leading opportunity platform. They're here to make the systems, the technology, the product lines, the compensation, the recognition. They're here to make all these things work for you, to support your team, your leaders, as we expand the distribution of these proprietary, amazing products around the world. And that's what we will continue to do. NuSkin has publicly stated this goal, and it ought to make you really excited. How many companies do you know where the management team stand up and say, our goal is to pay our leaders more money than any other leaders in the industry? I'm sure they said that last week where you work your job, don't they? Did your boss stand up and say, our goal is to pay our employees more money than any other employees in any of our competitive companies? You ever heard that?
No.
Probably not. Yeah. NuSkin recognizes the value of leadership, and they've always compensated the best leaders. Sometimes people will say, I think it's obscene how much money you top leaders make. I think that you guys get paid too much. We need to share the wealth, and we need to spread it around a lot more than it's being spread around. And my attitude is this, guys. What's so great about NuSkin is you get paid exactly what you're worth. Because whatever you go create and the volume that flows through that organization is what you've created. That's what you're worth. That's the value you have added to the overall process. This is not a place where you can be an employee and you're not productive. You're really not skilled at what you do. You're just kind of hiding out in a cubicle hoping nobody finds you. Just keep getting your check as long as you can and hope nobody discovers that you're just there kind of freeloading. Okay? The regular corporate environments and government environments are so inefficient. There's no way that anybody's pay is attached to the value they add. Some people add a lot more value than they get paid for, but a lot of people put in a lot less value than they get paid for. In this, it is directly connected. If you're successful in building teams and distribution channels and you move lots of product through those channels all over the world, you'll be paid exactly what you're worth. And if you're a person who's a producer, then don't be stuck in those environments that you have the negative side of that. You overproduce and get underpaid. Join this force right here where you can get paid exactly what you're worth. Because it can be really, really substantial. Okay? All right, so compensation plan is the fourth point. We're almost done. Okay, everybody hang in there for a second. So it starts off, where you can just buy products. You can join and get products at wholesale. You can mark up the product and sell it at retail. Some products have 100% markup. Some have 40%. Some have 30%. Just depends on the product. So you can make retail profit. You create a team, and as that team sells product to customers, you can earn overrides. You get commissions on the volume that your team can move. And that relates now back to how good you are. Are you a good leader? Do you know how to train people? Do you know how to help them understand what to do, how to build a business, how to sell products, how to recruit, how to train other people? Once you start to do that, you'll start to build multiple teams of people. And as you start to do that, then you really can leverage the time and the income that you can create. So I'll just give you a brief snapshot of that. My first year in NuSkin, I approached about 300 people. These were people that I personally knew from different walks of my life, different jobs I'd had, different places I worked, different schools I went to, and the different experiences I had. And so I approached about 300 people. Approximately 2/3 of them said, no thank you, not right now, or not interested. And a few of them said, don't ever call me back about this kind of business. Okay? And that'll happen to you too if you talk to enough people. That's normal. Okay? If you don't have that happen, you haven't talked to enough people. Okay? About 100 of those people sat down and listened to me. I actually had a presentation, 30 minutes to an hour. I sat down with them in person. Some of them were on the phone, and I did that presentation over the phone. We didn't have the internet then. There were no webinars. There's no way I could show them anything. If I wanted to show them something, I had to FedEx them a videotape in the mail for about $30. So we did that a lot. We spent a lot of money trying to recruit people in other cities with videotapes. So out of those 100 or so people that I was able to present to, I actually enrolled 33 of them the first year. So I signed up 33 people personally, myself, during the first year. Okay? The other 67 who said, still not interested, or no thank you, a lot of them became customers of mine. I said to them, well, if you don't want to do the business, then you ought to at least try the products. And some of them said, yeah, about half of them said, okay, fine, let me buy some product. And I created some customer base out of that. I actually have some customers that I've had for 30 years that have bought product on almost every month for 30 years, okay? So out of those 33 people, I started working with all these people, and 20 of them quit by the end of the first year. So now I'm down to 13 people. Now you may be saying to yourself, holy smokes, are you kidding? He talked to 300 and he ended up with 13? That's brutal. I don't know if I can do that. Well, maybe you can't. Maybe you just need to keep punching that time clock and end up with nothing in your life, okay? But if you want a different life, then maybe you need to suck it up and start to go out and just talk to people and don't take any rejection personally and just start recruiting. And as you do that, you're going to find people just like you, and I did. And those 13 people, either they or someone underneath them became executives on my front line. And that made me a blue diamond in NuSkin. Okay? And they found people who 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 found people. And today I have a network of more than 500,000 distributors in 50 countries. I don't know most of them. I've never met most of them. I've met a lot of them, but probably not most of them. And when the sun sets in Asia, that's okay, because Europe wakes up. And they start to take showers and baths and put my products on their head and their bodies and brush their teeth with my toothpaste, and they swallow my smoothies and drink my supplements down, you know. And then they go to sleep, and that's okay, because then the Americans wake up. And they take showers and they do the same thing, and then they go to sleep and Asia wakes up. And it just keeps going. It's called making money 24/7. Just every second of every day there's money accumulating in my bonus check. And it's an amazing thing. Okay? So, the problem most of us have is we trade time for money. Almost everybody does this. Anybody who works for somebody else, whether it's government or business, anybody who is a professional, a doctor, a dentist, a chartered accountant, a barrister, whatever. Anybody who's gone to school and got those extra initials behind their name, good for them. They make more money than the average person, but they also have a tougher life. Do you know why their life's tougher? Because their business, their profession completely depends on them. When they got all that extra training and all those licenses to operate and perform their business, they educated themselves into zero leverage. They made it more and more about them and their skills and their knowledge and their initials and their degrees and their licenses. And so it becomes a tough thing. And usually those people, after a few years of practicing their profession, will stop and say, holy smokes, what did I do? I got to show up forever. I got to be here forever. And if I ever don't show up, I don't make any money because I'm not using my hands or my skill to do what I do. And they have no leverage. And the problem is everybody's trading time for money. We make this exchange many times every day. Back and forth to work and home, back and forth every day, trading time for money. And here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter, how many times in a day you try to do that. And it doesn't matter how much you make every time you exchange time for money. It's never enough. I don't care if you get paid $500 an hour every time you trade time for money. It's still not enough. Okay? That's the problem. And I've said for years, if you finally understand this, it'll drive you crazy until you finally get free. Until you finally find yourself a financial vehicle that will allow you to stop trading time for money. And will actually compensate you on the efforts of other people, their time, and so forth, right? If those 500,000 people that are in my downline put in just 10 minutes a day, just 10 minutes a day on their own NuSkin business, then I'm getting paid on something like 50,000 hours a day of other people's efforts. 50,000 hours a day that I can't put in, right? How many hours a day do you put in at your job or your business? Don't say it out loud. Just think it to yourself. Did you say 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever? 16 maybe, some crazy number. Okay, that's the problem. That's the problem. How early do you have to get out of bed tomorrow morning to put in 50,000 hours tomorrow all by yourself? You got to get up really early. And in fact, you can't do it, can you? It's impossible. And that's because you're in the wrong vehicle. I finally understood what my brother-in-law meant that very first day when he talked to me about NuSkin. And he said, you're pedaling a bicycle, and I'm driving a Ferrari. I pedal that bicycle as hard as I want to pedal it. I will never catch him in his Ferrari because it's a different way. It's a different structure. It's a different financial vehicle than I was in. And most of you, that's what I said at the beginning, is you don't know what you are personally capable of until you put yourself in the right vehicle. And you start to experience the multiplication of time and your ability to clip off a little piece of that activity as profit to yourself every day, as that army of people go out and use and share product and build their own teams in NuSkin. And so that's what makes it possible. Does that make sense? Okay? This is kind of the path. And, you start at the beginning, and then you start to build business, and you find leaders, you build leadership teams, and that's the goal. If you want to develop your business in a big way, that's the goal. These are the average incomes by these leadership positions. And you can see that they range from $420 a month up to $38,000 a month. And these are the averages. Some people make more, some people make less. Okay, but those are the averages. That's what's possible to do. Okay? Notice that right here, that would be annualized $458,000. Okay, US dollars. I don't know what that is Australian, but it's more than that, all right? And so you may say, well, how many people make that much money? And that's an understandable question. Most people are skeptical that this stuff actually works. But again, we're a publicly traded company, so it's an open book. You can verify everything I say and more. Okay, we have over 1,000 people that occupy that position in this company. Can you name for me any other company you're aware of that has 1,000 people in that company that make $500,000 a year, Australian? Can you think of one? Is there even one in Australia? There's not. Is there even one in America? Probably not. Okay? That's very unique. This is very rare. So what it means is if you're a motivated person, you probably have a better chance here than you have any place else. And some people will look at our earnings disclosure. We actually publish every year a disclosure about these numbers and about the percentages. If you look at everybody who's an executive or a brand representative or up in NuSkin, those are the people that actually try to become a leader. Not just customers or distributors, but people that actually want to become a leader. Guess what percent of all those people end up in this position? 2.5%. That's it. That's not a very big number, is it? That means you're going to have to be better than 98.5% of the people. 97.5%, so if you want to be in that position. Okay? Or maybe you can't do it. Maybe that's too tough. Maybe you think those are too tall of odds for you to do that. I got news for you. Stay at your company where you work now. Let me tell you what your odds are there. Oh, less than like 0.5%. Okay? You got like 5 times better odds here than you have anyplace else to actually make it happen. Okay? All right. So, anyway, why is it now the time? We talk about timing. So why now for NuSkin? We have the convergence of technology, the convergence of social media, the ability to share the message for free everywhere, like for nothing. I never had any of that stuff when I started. It's so much easier to connect to people today than it ever was before. When I started this business, there was one telephone line for every 1,000 people in the country of China. That's when I started this business. Do you know what it is today? Like 2 phone lines almost for everybody in China. They all got their phones in the mobile house, right? You look at the rapid transformation in the last 30 years in China. Look what's happened in India, which is not yet open, but will be open someday for the NuSkin opportunity. Okay, we will do billions in those countries. Okay? When you stop and think about the future and what the future holds for this company, if you were willing to dedicate yourself and make this your profession, if you were willing to become a professional network marketer, a professional people helper, a professional people lifter, a professional people promoter, professional friend, you know, you can do great things here in this company. So those are the things we talked about today. We talked about trends and our partner. We talked about products. We talked about income potential. We talked about timing. And I would just say this to you. If you want to do this business, you need to memorize those 5 things. And as you go out and talk to people, maybe you should talk about product. Maybe you should talk about science. Maybe you should talk about the compensation. Maybe you should talk about the timing. Okay? Most people will stop and say, wow, this makes sense. This is a pretty compelling story that we have here. And as individuals, we get to play. It's not just some big company that's just going to make employees go out and do their job. They're going to use the traditional advertising and try to make their brand and get their market share. And they never, ever let you and I play. Well, this is when you can play. And I'm so grateful that my brother-in-law had the courage to call me 30 years ago and recruit me into this company. And I hope you feel the same about your sponsor.